What's going on, y'all? I want to show you a brand new plugin from Baby Audio called Smooth Operator. This uses Baby Audio's spectral detection algorithm, and it helps mix engineers fight some of their worst enemies: harshness, muddiness, and resonance. So I've been using this the past few weeks on vocals, and it has become a must-have on vocals for me. So I'm going to show you this on vocals. Let's first talk about what this is really doing, though. It's like a dynamic EQ, but it's not a dynamic EQ. But that's the easiest way that I can explain this, is that it's like a dynamic EQ because it takes frequencies and helps remove, suppress, and eliminate bad frequencies from your signal, aka muddiness, harshness, and resonance. So very easy to use. We have very few controls, and this does it in a way that's very intuitive, and you can get great results really quickly, which is another reason why I've really been enjoying using this. So let's go over the controls and then I'll show it to you on this vocal. So right off the bat, we have the option to choose 3 different skins. You can click the Baby Audio icon to bypass it. Same with this on the right side as well, bypass it. In the middle, you have your presets. This is going to enable your sidechain, and this is going to reset it back to default settings. So the bulk of the UI here is this big graph here going from 20 hertz up to 20K. So the way this works is you have your yellow points. This first yellow point is going to be your low end, and the right is going to be your high end. You can move this up, and you can move it down. This is basically like a shelf here. The points in between of that you can move. And you can kind of think of these as like your bell filters. And then this one in the middle is your threshold. So you use this to adjust the full threshold of everything. So reset this back. So if this is higher, this is going to remove the detection of those frequencies, and if it's lower, it's going to increase the detection on those frequencies. Across the bottom here you have solo, so you can use this to solo these bands. Focus, so what focus is going to do, this is going to make more sense once I show you an example, but this is going to change the amount of bands that is doing the effect of the compression, the resonance removal here. Output, self-explanatory, and this is your meter here. Okay, set this back one more time. Okay, so I'm going to play this vocal. I have nothing on it right now. This is just the raw vocal. I think there's some delay on it. But as far as processing, there's nothing on this vocal. And you're going to clearly hear that we have a S problem here and also some muddiness in the low mids.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos. I've been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll.
Okay, and let's listen to that soloed as well.
Liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos. I've been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll.
Okay, so really cool thing about Smooth Operator here, we can deal with a lot of the negative things in this vocal with just this one plugin without even really having to touch an EQ. So let's engage Smooth Operator. Now I'm just going to play it, and you're going to see the bottom half is where you're going to see the signal for the track. And then as I pull the threshold down, you're going to see it start to work on what we'll call the bad frequencies in this vocal.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos.
Okay, now to show the focus here. So the focus is on 75, so I'm just going to take this down to like below 10. And now watch the top half, how it reacts.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators.
So you see it's working across the whole spectrum at once. So the more we turn that focus up, the more it's going to focus on individual frequencies.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos.
Okay, so let's start to work on this vocal. So we see now another thing I really like about this, if you don't understand EQ or you're not that good with EQ yet, using something like Smooth Operator can show you where your problem frequencies are. We see that this is already starting to work in between the 200 and 500 hertz range. And once I pull it down further, which I'll do in just a second, you'll see it's starting to work around that 5 to 10K range where those harsh S's are. So I want this to maybe below 200 hertz. I really don't want to touch. So like I said earlier, if we pull this up, it's going to ignore those frequencies. So let's pull this maybe up to around here so we can ignore this. And you can also use your mouse wheel to change the Q value here. Okay, so now we're going to start working at like 200. Let's hear how that sounds.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators.
Okay, now I want to grab some more of this 5 to 10K range. So let's try to find where those S's are. And we can do that by clicking solo, click on this band, and let's see if we can find where that harsh S is. Yeah, solo.
Liquidizing.
Okay, so that's good there. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to pull this down. Let's turn solo off. Maybe sharpen this a little bit. All right, and so now you're going to see it. You're going to see more activity in between this range here now that I've pulled this down.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos. I've been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll.
Now you can hear the S's are a lot smoother now, so I'm going to play this bypassed.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation.
And with Smooth Operator.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of
Very controlled S's now. I'm going to pull the threshold down just a little bit more.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators.
I'm going to pull this down a little bit too.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego.
Okay, so that sounds a lot better to me. Now, using this and removing some of those bad frequencies, I noticed that it will thin the vocal out a little bit. So this would be a great opportunity to add some saturation now that we have just what I would call good frequencies in the vocal now. So I've got Super VHS here, and we're just going to turn up this heat a little bit and add some saturation. Turn that on, and now we have this.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators. Woo! Fuego. Questabella is all about the pesos. I've been trapping out the apartment for the bankroll. I done burnt up the block, gotta lay low.
Okay, now you notice that vocal is pretty much done. I haven't used any EQ. I could still maybe go in and EQ this, a little further, but we're pretty much there without having to use EQ, which is pretty incredible here. Now, I said this was similar to a dynamic EQ, so I'm going to show you the difference now with the dynamic EQ because that's what I originally used on this mix. So we're going to turn off Smooth Operator. This is F6 from Waves, is what I originally used, and what I did was I worked this to kind of mimic what Smooth Operator was doing. We're kind of suppressing the high end as well as some of the mids. So this is with F6.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators.
and with Smooth Operator.
Above, liquidizing my assets through the drought market fluctuation. In a room full of work for the low price line negotiators.
So to me, I prefer Smooth Operator there. It just sounds more, it's almost more natural to me. And I've been using F6 for a while. Love it as a dynamic EQ, but this is going to replace my dynamic EQ needs for now. So thinking of harshness, think of all the things you can do with this to remove harshness. Over cymbals and overheads, harshness in guitars, acoustic guitar recording, nasty frequencies and that. There's a lot that you can do with this outside of just vocals that I'm showing you here. So, of course, I will have a link in the description for you to check this out. This is available for a free trial. And I'll have some more videos coming with this because I want to show some more things that you can do with this. This is just a quick review and overview. All right, any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time. I want to invite you to check out my podcast, the Faders Up Podcast, where we discuss pro audio and beyond. We discuss everything from recording to gear to the music business. So if you're an audio engineer, songwriter, recording artist, music producer, this podcast is for you. We recently started season 2, and we're going to have a lot of listener questions on this season, as well as some really cool guests that's lined up and giveaways as well. So if you've already subscribed and followed the podcast, thank you. If you haven't, it's available on all platforms, and I encourage you to check it out. Also rate it and review it and let us know what you think.